Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe guys. We are trying to hit 50,000 subscribers until the end of the year, so help me out there. Let's go guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the future again of War Thunder. I know you guys like these videos, or at least these videos get a little bit of attention, and it's always fun to actually talk about this and speculate a little bit, right? So the idea of the video is what is left before we go full Fox 3s or 4+ generation aircraft, okay? So there is a gap between what we have right now in top tier and the 90s 4+ generation aircraft like the confirmed already Gripen, right? So what is there to be added between these two if we have a gap? A disclaimer that obviously I'm talking about fighter aircraft that are better than what we have already and worse than a Gripen in general, right? And I know that there are aircraft before from what we already have that need to be added. So like the F-111, the Su-24, the MiG-25, and many other aircraft. So I know about those, but we're going to talk about the fighters that would push the envelope of a top tier aircraft after this and before these 90s 4th generations plus generation aircraft, right? And also that would be able to shoot 90s Fox 3 missiles, right, in the future. So between those Fox 3 aircraft and what we have right now. And even though, yes, we do already have some aircraft that could fire those missiles, and it kind of gives you a perspective that it's not a big leap forward even, right? So it's quite funny even, right? So yeah, but first, well, you know, of course, they can always add existing aircraft with newer models. So there is the F-16Cs with many blocks that can come to the US and Israel. The MiG-29S, for example, that could be added even without the R-77 right now if they wanted to. Not that it would be a lot different because that's one of the main things about that aircraft, but still, I mean, they could, right? And also, I mean, F-14Ds with more like not missiles, but more performance in the sensors and stuff, but basically being the same aircraft as the B. So there are versions of aircraft that are already in the game, or even third generations like the F4F ICE and stuff. Maybe they could add the ICE without the A9L, you know, or something like that. But beyond that, what else is there as a new aircraft between now and the Gripen? You know, of course they can just copy-paste stuff and improve those, but what else is there to be added new-wise, you know, like a new aircraft? Well, not much, to be honest. And that's why I think it won't take much time until we see these aircraft that I'm going to talk about to be added. So, in particular, I think there is 4 of those that can be added very soon, and probably will be added very soon before the Gripens and stuff, like I said. Like at least some of them, you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe 2 of them before the end of the year or something like that. Of course, the first 2, we have to talk about them, is the Su-27 and the F-15, obviously, right? Even with the earlier models of these aircraft, they would be great, or at least on par with what we have already in the game, in many aspects, you know, but even better in some of them. Like the Su-27, for example, would be basically for the meta of the game. Obviously, it wasn't the idea in real life, it's a very different project, but it's basically a MiG-29 on steroids for the War Thunder, right? In the sense that it has basically a better radar, 6 R-27ERs, for example, so 6 BVR missiles, plus 4 IR missiles, with basically the same performance. It is a little bit more sluggish than the MiG-29, and it takes a little bit more time to get to speed and stuff. The thrust weight is around 0.02 fully loaded less than the MiG-29, so you can see a difference there, but still, it's very much on par, right? And also the F-15, that depending on the version that they would add, it would be very similar to the F-16 in many regards, right? I mean, the Eagle is just more of it. More radar, more missiles, more performance in certain situations, making a more complete fighter. And even, if you will, you can call it even a heavy fighter compared to the F-16, it kinda is, right? But also, we have some other minor additions that we might see, but it's a little bit more unlikely. So the F-18, for example, with its A and C models, they would be very similar in performance, both in flight and weapon-wise, you know, to the aircraft that we already have in game. Having a more direct and better approach than the F-16A that we have in game to the classification of multi-role. So it has a air-to-ground radar, for example. It has better air-to-ground weaponry, in general, just a more complete aircraft for that, but also retaining the BVR systems and having a better radar. Of course, it isn't like the most amount of range that it has, these Legacy Hornets in the APG-65, but still it's pretty good, right? But I doubt that we would see the F-18 because we just got the new F-14B. We just got it. So it would be kind of weird to see a Navy aircraft such as that just soon after the F-14B. They might add it later. And another one that it's kind of unlikely is the MiG-31, right? Probably the best interceptor ever made with its PESA radar and the amazing R-33 missiles. It wouldn't be a dogfighter, but a very reliable weapon for the Soviets in the BVR. Though both the additions for the Soviets, by the way, would extremely increase the performance of the USSR in BVR engagements, which is something that it's just not needed right now because the MiG-29 and the Yak-41 are already amazing aircraft at BVR, probably the best out there right now, or the most reliable do-it-all kind of situation aircraft out there. Still, both of them have a chance of appearing, and I think especially the Su-27 would be a very, it would just be very likely to see. We are very likely to see. And that's kind of it. I mean, there are there are other aircraft that can be added, but with these like 4 additions, the US, the USSR, China, Japan, the UK. I mean, the UK, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe depending on what they do. Ignore the UK a little bit, but Israel and maybe even the Swedish with the Finnish F-18C, right? They can all get something before these 90s Fox 3 missile capable 4+ generation aircraft, right? And basically that's it. As you see, it's not a lot of aircraft. Of course, there are others, but these are the main ones. And I really think at least 2 of those, we will see it before the addition of these 90s aircraft, right? Bridging the gap and maybe even making the BR a little bit more decompressed, again, going to at least, like, I don't know, a 12.3 situation. So expect this aircraft is what I'm going to say, right? These 4 aircraft, I don't know about the MiG-31, it feels a little bit far-fetched, but just like the Yak-41 was, right? It was, I never thought I would see the Yak-41 in such early development of the 4th generation aircraft in the game. And the F-18, I have the same feeling, a little bit less, but I have the same feeling that it's not quite there yet for it to be added. But the F-15 and this Su-27, man, I really think that they will add it before the end of the year, this aircraft, or at least on the patch of the end of the year. Something like that, something big like that, I think will appear very soon. And this soon, I mean, of course, until the end of the year, maybe like, I mean, the idea is before the Gripen is added, because I really do think that we need a gap that it needs to be filled with these aircraft first, and then we open up the Pandora box of Fox 3 90s missiles, which means Eurofighters, Rafales, Gripens, MiG-29Ms and Ks and SMTs, F-16 Block 50s with modifications done in the 2000s, F-15s, I mean, from the 2000s with ISA radars. I don't know, so many aircraft that can be added, and then we will probably be in the like modern era of the aircraft. But anyway, let me know what you think about this. Do you think that an aircraft such as the Su-27 and the F-15 could be added right now or in the soonish future? Do you think it's too OP or something like that? Let me know in the comments down below, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, see ya.